Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with the One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about Moonology. Hi, my name is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman. I'm an intuitive psychic medium here in the Sugar Land area. That's just outside of Houston. When I was a little girl, I fell in love with our moon, and ever since, I have been energetically drawn to moon energy. I have studied Moonology for quite a while, plus I enjoy teaching others about the different energies of each moon phase. Then combining that energy with our current moon sign, and you will come away with a great understanding of how both these energies will combine to influence each of us in unusual ways. If you like my content, please subscribe, like, and share. That's right, today we're talking about Moonology, but in a very, very different way. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is why women require aligning with the moon. I know, when I first read this article, it was just something like, wow, I was like really intrigued and really like deep into thought about this, like, wow, this is really interesting. So it's one of those, everything in our world revolves in a cycle. Everything has that circular cycle to it. So it's kind of like an interesting part of it. We have basically a 28-day moon cycle. We also have a 28-day female cycle. And I was just kind of like thinking about this, and I was like, I've never put these two together ever, just never, never, never. And I was just kind of like, everything happens in a cycle. We have a season for planting, a season for going out and picking what we've planted. We've got seasons where we have like snow and heat and cycles of rain and that sort of thing. And so it's like, we just have like this total circular thing. But it's one of the amazing things is that when we start looking at it, really, women are circular, and we have different cycles in our lives, and we kind of go through a young age cycle where we kind of figure out like who we are and what do we want to do and how do we accomplish things. Even if it's just like, I want to learn how to ride a bike, we learn how to accomplish things in life. And then it's kind of like, then we have like this cycle of like confidence of like, I know how to do this. I know how to ride a bike, or I know how to drive a car. And we have these different cycles around us. And if you really think about it, we never end our cycles. It's one of those, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, women in their cycle when they're in menopause. Not always. We still have that cycle in our system. Basically, it's kind of almost like this in our DNA is doing this cycle. So it's kind of a really interesting perspective. And when we kind of really connect that to the moon cycles, the moon never finishes a cycle. It's always in a cycle. Now, it may not be in the cycle of the new moon. It could be in the cycle of a waning moon or a waxing moon, or it could be in the cycle of a new moon. So it's kind of like always reinventing ourselves. And I think that's really where I'm going with this, is what I really resonated with this article, is how much women are always reinventing themselves, rejuvenating themselves, redoing something with themselves. We kind of never really we may end a cycle of it, but we start a new cycle of it or a new adventure in that area. And this is kind of one of those interesting parts that it used to be that when women had their cycles, thought that all of their cycles kind of came at the same time, and it's usually only in close-knit families will you kind of be on the same cycle. But because of that, close-knit families would get together and all the women would be on their menstrual cycle all at the same time, and it would usually coincide with the new moon. And so they would go out during this long night and they would really support each other and they would help each other through it. And it was really a great journey of like introspection and kind of like, what do I need to change? What do I need to modify about me? What do I need to upgrade myself in the next 28 days until we do this again? And so this secular energy kind of keeps coming back. But it's one of those, we used to support each other as we worked through our cycles. And I think a lot of times now that that support only comes in certain areas of our lives, or only if we are looking for that in our lives, because a lot of times women kind of can be very competitive, which is more of a male aspect energy than a female aspect energy. And when we can get other women to encourage not only us, but encourage other women as well, we kind of all get this introspective change of what do we want to change in our energy? What do we want to change in our relationships? What do we, I'm saying, what was the low point of the last 28 days? What was the high point? And really talking about this energy in a very positive, very uplifting way that we may not always get with other people. When the moon is full, women are really at their high point of their energy, and that's why they say women are like crazy during the full moon, and interesting things happen during the full moon, and it's because we're at the height of our energy and kind of like that. I'm ready to kind of encourage and kind of like externally, where the new moon was kind of the internal changes. The full moon is kind of like the external changes of what are the things that I want to change or modify. And a lot of times it kind of becomes an expansion of like, what do I want to step into? Where do I want to go with this energy? What is next for me? Kind of like, where do I want to do this? And it's really important to kind of keep this in mind, because even though those cycles are not honored anymore in most cultures, it's still in our DNA. Our cultures used to be so bound to this, and it used to be such a part of us. It's still there, and so we kind of almost feel like during a full moon, women are more likely to call their friends and say, "Hey, let's go have a drink outside. Let's go to a bar. Let's go dancing or something else," and kind of like encouraging them to step out of their comfort zone. Kind of like I said, it's all about that exterior changes, and it's really that high point of energy. Like, I've got so much energy during this time frame of like, what do I want to accomplish? And this is a great time to really look at kind of like finishing up long-term goals, really pushing. So let's dive a little bit more into the time of our new moon. What should we be doing during our new moon? So this is time to kind of be in like resting mode, doing our meditations, kind of doing whatever ceremonies that we want to do, eating simple foods, resting, kind of taking it time for ourselves, kind of doing journaling, practicing. This is a great time to do yoga. I wouldn't say like full bore yoga, but this is like a great time to kind of like do some stretching and holding, and kind of really talking to ourselves about like, what do we want? What do I want to bring into my life next? What is the time that I want to set? What is the time that I want to start something new? The new moon is the most powerful time of the whole month to set in new intentions for the next 28 days of our moon cycle. And it's really a great time to start new beginnings and new things. So kind of that new energy in there. Kind of the time between the new moon and the full moon, kind of that twixt time in there, is kind of really set aside for kind of like our intentions, our self-inquiries, kind of like, what do we want? What do you want? So let me ask you, what do you want? Between the new moon and the full moon is a great time to really get in touch with that question. Like, what do I want? Where do I want to go with this? It's one of those kind of between our energy, kind of between the new moon and the full moon. Our moon is growing exponentially every night. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it gains size. It's waxing. And this is kind of like represents kind of like our aspects of kind of like our feminine divine energy, like growing inside of us. Kind of what do we want to bring in next? Kind of our attributes of being female are really culminated in this time period of the time between the new moon and the full moon. Is all about our journey and kind of like, what do we want to bring through? What is it that we wanted to start at the new moon and bring into the full moon, kind of bring into that energy and bring past that full moon energy and keep going. So this is the kind of really time to kind of stay engaged, maybe not engage with everybody else, but kind of with ourselves, kind of like that inner work of our own, like, where do we want to go with this? Now, one of the best things to do during our full moon time is kind of allowing ourselves to kind of take time and express ourselves. Kind of, what do we want to go through? What do we want to explain? What is the things that we haven't been letting ourselves come into lately? What is it that we haven't really been dealing with, kind of giving it a voice and letting it go? I often tell people like the full moon time is kind of our time with creator's energy of kind of like, what do we want to throw at the moon? What do we want to burn up in that atmosphere? What do we want to let go of that's keeping us back? And this is a great time to get in touch with ourselves because we're the only one who has the answer. So we've got to figure it out on our own of what do we want to bring into us. And during this time frame, it's okay that we have some negative energy coming up. It's okay because we can let it go during this time frame. If it's towards us, we need to fix it and modify it. If it's towards someone else, we probably need to let it go, or we need to give it a voice. Yep. This is also a great time during the full moon to kind of think about, go back and look at our journal of what we wrote during the new moon. What is it that we really wanted to create during this time frame? What is it that we want to move forward or bring into energy or kind of keep going? It's like the full moon period is kind of like a woman is at its strongest energy of like just here we go. We're ready to roar and let this go through. So it's really important to kind of take advantage of this time frame and kind of take advantage of the different segments of our energy. So let's pull some angel cards and get us a little bit more insight into why women require aligning with the moon. Got a couple of them down here, kind of popping all at the same time. This one is Mars, and this one's all about being in motion. This is all about being in motion. What do we want to be in motion about? And I would say, like I said, this is kind of like that time between the full moon and the new moon, the new moon and the full moon of kind of like, what do we want to be in action about? And what do we want to be in action about of kind of like both of them? Where do we want to go? What's the next energy step for us? Where do we want to take this energy for us? What's coming up next? This is Pallas Athea, and this is all about thinking. This, of course, is always during the new moon of kind of giving ourselves, what do we want to bring in? How do we want to bring it in? What does it look like? What do we think about? What should we bring in this month compared to next month? What is it that we require doing? And really looking at that. Taurus, this is all about cultivating, kind of like, what do we want to bring into us? What do we want to nurture over the next 28 days? What is it that we want to bring in? We want to nurture and cultivate and move forward. Keep getting these backwards. Solar calm, and this is all about clarity. Get clarity in the new moon of what your dream is. What is it that you're really trying to manifest? What is it that you're really trying to work into the energy? And what is it that you really want to bring forward? This is called the Ascendant, and this is all about the entrance. And this is all about the new moon. Each new moon starts our cycle. It starts kind of like, what do we want to bring into ourselves? What do we want to bring into this energy? What do we want to bring forward? What do we want to start? That entrance. What do we want to start? This one is our second house, and this is all about our resources. This is a great thing to kind of keep in store during our new moon of kind of like, what are our resources? Who are our friends and family? Are there other women that we could bring into this circle and amplify that energy with, kind of bringing that really coolly to other women as well? It's really important to do that. 12th house. This is all about introspection, and this is a great time to kind of do during that new moon time as well. Bringing in the new stuff. What is it that I really want to bring forward? Not what everybody else wants to bring forward. What do I require bringing forward? And that can be really fun and really kind of a great thing to keep in mind. I also keep in mind myself, kind of like what the sign the moon is in, and so that will kind of give me some hints or suggestions of what I should be bringing in or could be bringing in during this time frame. 7th house, relationships. Who else can I be looking at besides women? Who else can I be looking at to help me or assist me bring in that amazing energy? That can be really cool. This is the authority. This is the 10th house, kind of like, are there rules or regulations that we need to be aware of? Or if there's rules and regulations during the full moon that we've allowed to kind of take over our lifetime or add to that energy of like, what else do I want to do during this time frame? What else do I want to bring in, and kind of bringing that energy forward? Kind of really important to think about. Fifth house is all about passion. And I will say that really starts kind of the whole moon cycle, I would say, is a very passionate cycle. But I would also say that passion should be driving your decisions of what you want to start in your new moon. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.